usually gives me a countdown. That was weird. Very strange. I might have screwed that up. I might have screwed that up. Hopefully I shared that correctly. We will find out, shall we? Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my tires. What's going on, man? I did set the live up right. I mean, not that I ever expect anybody to pop into the live or be here or anything. But also, like, it didn't give me the countdown or anything. Like, normally it'll, so when I set it up for 7:30, hey, it'll give me a countdown to when I'm supposed to go live, and it didn't do that. And then, yeah. Parts video will be in tomorrow. Nice. Buller shipped my stuff. Shout out to Kermit Buller and Buller Built, Buller Bully clutches and all that. I got my stuff in a box and out to them. It arrived Friday. Carbs were shot. The parts list was pretty epic. Like a $600 set of carburetors. I think they're $600. Anyway, they hadn't been done in a while, so I'm sure the armatures and all sorts of stuff, the list was like this. And they got them Friday, so long weekend or whatever. And Tuesday morning, he got on it, and I got a call at 11 a.m. our time, or Eastern Standard Time, and from Mary from Buller, and said carbs were done. Now, it's pricey, but yeah, YouTube might be acting a fool again. It didn't register anything. Yeah, I was just saying that. It worked all right last week, but here's the progress. Engine back together. I had a spare jug. I had a spare piston, so this was used as it got converted into, I can't remember if they took this cylinder off, and I had run this piston a couple times, so already broken, good to go. New gaskets, new head gaskets, this standard 250, no power valve. This is a standard Bama. If you were to order a Bama, it will have a radiator here. I haven't put the radiator on yet because the carbs go there, and it's a pain in the butt. So radiator is going to go on after carburetors. But I had the spare piston, the spare jug, and I bought a wrist pin for it. And I checked out the bottom end. I mean, there's the bearings, or needle bearings, were bouncing around in there, but everything seems solid with the lower end. There doesn't seem to be any shucking, any odd movement. I rotated it, I flushed it completely out, turned it upside down, really got after it, cleaned it real good. It's got, right, what I noticed when, great compression. So that's good. Waiting on carburetors, but like I was saying, that Buller got them out to me ASAP. So I think they went out Tuesday. It was a three-day tour to get that box that I sent to them that had the carburetors and basically the junk cylinder and stuff, to maybe have rebuilt at some point in time. But they got them out to me Tuesday, so hopefully I should see them tomorrow or Saturday. That would be awesome if I can have them this weekend. I just want to fire it up. I want to hear the engine run before I drive out to Iowa, because it's a better part of a 13-hour drive. Okay. And I was a part of, and went to your tire center instead of the lug nuts. Oh, yeah, I can show you that too. So when I'm truing a tire, if I really want to make sure, like with Maxxis, for instance, or if I'm going to be cutting a tire, practicing to cut a tire because I'm not great at it, I got to get some more rasps. I would prefer to use a standard hub on there, But the other thing is by Star Pro. This thing. It's just a quick hub system. This is 3D printed. You put it on there. Those go on there. Screw this on. Nice and easy. But for trueness, it works real good for surface and tires. It spins it. But I have more faith in a solid aluminum hub if you're really going to do any kind of truing up, if you're going to do any cutting or anything like that, having everything as precise as possible. But yeah, that's made by Star Pro. A gentleman named Rich Deem makes them out of PA. I don't know. There might be a version. There was a big to-do, not a to-do. I made a post about the tire washer, and then people were saying, hey, that's a copy of another one that's aluminum. I believe it's aluminum. And if I had that one, I'd show that one off too. I try and not be, I support everybody. If I had it to show, I would show that one as well. But I don't know. I haven't seen that version that goes on a tire surfacer that is aluminum. But that'd be cool. That might eliminate. It's just it's probably true enough. But you have a little more faith in metal being straighter and more balanced than say a printed version. But for surface and tires, for sanding them or whatever, that awesome, works great. But yeah, that's Star Pro, Rich Deem out of PA. Do I have a link to him on the video? I have a link to him. He doesn't have a website. He just has contact information and the products that you can buy from him on his website. Really? Huh. Yeah, it's weird. Yoink. Oh, Ernie, I will not be able to make the Northeast Divisional. I went over to, I was at the gym, and my wife was on the spin bike and the seated bike, I guess. And I went over, I'm like, why does that look familiar? And I pointed to the 11th of October, and she's like, we're camping that weekend. And I'm like, ah! So I will not be attending Hunterstown. It's unfortunate, but fortunate. I mean, I'm really looking forward to, my wife really wanted to camp this fall. So it is what it is. Said hi. I say hello. How many times a year do you get my lip injections? These are standard lips. I'm growing my mustache out a little bit. It's covering my upper lip. All me. Hey, buddy. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I've never raced a champ before. Maybe someday. I have no interest in buying one. We don't have anything for classes up here in the north. So, but champs kind of come and go. Like when I came into the sport 25 years ago, 24 years ago, very few champs, at least at the local level where I'm at. And then there was they came on a little bit, and then the wing champ classes with animal engines came about. That was pretty cool. And then there was a traveling series that bounced around New York, and then the PA wings, but those are more like QRC outlaw carts and stuff like that. That they just champs in general. Like and down south it seems like they come and go. Have you ever used outside prep on the inside when you roll? Yes and no. It depends what it is. So, Track Tack Line, that's who I, obviously I'm sponsored by them. Channel sponsored by them. I suppose I am vicariously through because I use them. You can roll everything in Track Tack's line, to my knowledge, except for Tire Tough Mint and black sand. The component that makes black sand, which is also the component that it is in Tire Tough Mint, not the original Tire Tough. Do I have both? I think I have both. there's a component that won't pass through. It's not made to go through the tire. It's made to set on the tire. But anything else from the TrackTac line that you can roll internal. That's yeah. I don't think there's anything besides those two things. So yes, in answer to that question, matter of fact, I would argue that one of the best internal preps, maybe mixed with something, SQS for your spring and fall time races, adds a tremendous amount of bite without dropping the durometer horrible bad. There's a dragonfly. Hey, buddy. There was a dragonfly in my shop the other day. The office at the shop just kind of came just randomly like that. The dragonfly, that was pretty cool. But yeah, it. Some other brands have specific internals versus externals. TrackTac can be used vice versa. They can be used either or, no problem, with the exception of those. Okay, have you ever? Okay, Florida trip. I've been in Florida twice. I ran Tampa when that was still a track. I hear that Dirt Devils is no Dirt Devils. Is that? I think that was Tampa. I ran back. I don't know. Shoot, was that 12 years ago? Might have been 12 years ago. And then I have run Jasper, which was 2019. I've been in Florida twice. One of my best friends, Jamie, lives in Florida, just outside of Daytona, and my dad lives in Ocala. So if I ever make it down there, I got places to stay and stuff. It's an 18-hour pull to come down there, so it's excessive. But yeah, if you get down here, I'll put you in. Nice. Yeah, that's the one thing. I'm down for racing whatever that from Predators to Opens to Champs to whatever. I like them all. I like racing in general. Hey, Wisconsin. It wasn't a backhanded thing. I know it wasn't a backhanded thing, but the more I thought about it, somebody made a comment one time. They're just like, "Are you from Wisconsin?" And I'm like, it was because of my accent. And I'm like, I'm in New York. But the more I think about it, because of how high up in the States we are to Canada, that inflection, the thing in our voice, I think might be similar. I'm only an hour and a half, maybe less. No, not less. Hour and a half to 2 hours away from Canada, where I'm at in Western New York. So I'm sure that I don't hear it. Obviously, this is just the way I've spoke my entire life. So, but when people hear your accent, they're like, they kind of make guesses. Yeah, somebody asked me if I was from Wisconsin, and I was just like, where are you getting that from? But I the more I think about it, I get it. Like that, maybe that's a thing. Mint as God said, yeah. That's the one thing, and I heard people, and I will never tell anybody not to use a product the way they find it works. Mint in itself is meant to set. The longer you let it set, 2 to 3 weeks, the better the stuff gets. I also, it's more of a locking type of, I consider it a locking. If you get, say, a Vega Yellow and you drop the durometer to 45 and you want it to be gripped up, but you want it to try and stay at 45, I think that Mint does a great job at that adding the bite and, somewhat locking the durometer. I just have found that it's a little harder once you use Mint on the outside to drop that durometer if you get in that bind. But if you use something like the brand new Gold Gold Grip from TrackTac, which is GoPro, I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure you could get them to drop with something that aggressive. Reason I bring that up is it might smell like goat in here right now from a set of tires. I've been prepping for Iowa, Delaware, Iowa. Yes, that's leaving next Thursday morning to head out to Iowa. I don't foresee any reason not happening except for I'll go anyway. I'm pretty sure I'll go anyway, but I want to hear this engine run. I really do. I don't think anything's, everything looks kosher, good to go. But, if I fire it up on the stand and it nukes itself, I might have to take somebody up on an offer to, an engine loaner or something like that. But my buddy Jamie confirmed just a couple days ago that he was kind of, not on the fence, but he was just like, you know what, I'm coming up. So he's driving up from Florida on Tuesday. He's going to get here on Wednesday. And then Doug, Jamie, and myself, we have all been friends since I was 13. So it's 35 years. The three of us have been friends. And boys trip across the states to Iowa. And your dad worked on one of my Florida. Oh yeah, yep. When he initially moved down there, yep, he lived like half a mile from Speedway Park. And yeah, I remember talking about running the track in and dragging and doing all sorts of stuff. That was really cool. I never did get to see that. Did get to see that track. I would personally, I would love to go south. Just move south in general. But there's family stuff and there's reasons for staying up here. Maybe eventually I can get down south. I would have zero problem moving to Florida. I don't know if I'd prefer it or not, but I think I'd adapt to the heat. I'm a northern boy, so the first little bit's going to be uncomfortable adjusting to the heat. But there are snowbirds and everything else that go down there to Florida and get used to it. So maybe, just maybe. What's going on, Bill? Working on two separate things at the time. I am, I got the open right here. I got to scale this, but I need the carburetors. I need the radiator on it to scale the thing. I think I'm probably not going to change much. I did take off the power valve system and the battery. So that's probably going to mess with my percentages a little bit. I'm just going to take a peek at them, see if they're close to what I think it's going to run. Everything I've heard about Delaware, it's going to be similar to the stuff we run up here. Very hard to get a hold of. Sandy. Okay. These are things that I won't say I have an advantage because that's not true. I haven't been in the seat of the open enough this year or in the past couple of years for that matter to consider myself a threat by any means. I mean, if I make the main, I'll be, chef's kiss. That's going to be perfect. But that type of racing, that type of track does lend itself to somebody like me who is used to racing on that surface. Does it mean I'm going to do well at it? No, it absolutely does not. Am I going to try my hardest to do well? Yes, I've been working tires this past couple weeks, even with with everything that went on with the engine. My intention was always to go. My intention has been to work the tires. I was sizing them last night, making sure my staggers are at least within the realm. I can adjust that track a little bit if I need to, but I've been working tires, rolling tires, doing everything I have. The downside is I have one fresh set, a brand new tires to take, but I was on 2 or 3 year old tires last week or the week before when my engine went south. And if anybody caught that, I was at least in the hunt. I still know what to do with a bag of yellow. That's for certain. Even older, they're like I said, 2, 3 years old. So I can manipulate them the same way that I used to be able to. Picked up a 2012 Aero with a Rotax. Bias. What feeling are you looking at? I have never run a front brake on it. I hear it's usable, and I wouldn't see why not. Now here's the caveat to that. If you run high cross, if you're running say just a left front brake to help it turn, that tire is very, I won't say ineffective, but it's not as effective. Yeah, because it's not on the ground. if you're running slightly lower cross, that left front's going to be planted more, therefore having more engagement with the turn. You know, you run high cross, it's already it's preloaded, so you're already kind of not yawed, but the chassis is already diving that right front down and picking that left front up. So the left front brake, I'm sure, will have an effect in a high cross chassis if you're running high cross, but if you're running slightly lower cross, I think it will be more effective. And that might be something for us people that run on lower bike tracks that, you know, I don't, no secrets here or anything. My Recon, a standard cross setup for me on my open is somewhere between 60 and 63 on the loose stuff that we have up here. Also, I've had success and heard of other people having success running even lower than 60% on our looser type tracks. So in that case, a left front brake is really gonna, you know, having that kind of digging in and causing the cart to want to turn, I think would be fantastic. As far as bias, you know, I've never run one, so it would be hard for me to even speculate how much you would want to, you know, delve into that type of thing. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it would be a great experience. It would be a great thing to kind of play with. If you have a solid package under you to add like a left front brake onto it, would you know, just accentuate how that chassis behaved in the corner. But there, you know, sometimes there's almost a little too much adjustment if that's a thing that you can overly complicate a kart chassis. And that's, I think, one of the benefits to karts in general is because, you know, how there's a lot of little adjustments, but they're, you know, they're basic. We don't deal with shocks and stuff like that. So once you get into, you know, delving into extra stuff, it's just more stuff you have to pay attention to, and maybe you're into that stuff. I think it's definitely something would be cool to try out. South Georgia is worse than Florida. The humidity here. Oh, I'm sure. That Mark Bergfeld, you know, rest in peace. When we went down to Jasper in Florida, I won't say unbearable because that's a bit much. I'm in general a pretty happy dude, but the first couple days of me being in really humid, really hot weather, I'm not. I just complain. I just kind of, you know, first couple days, and then after about 2 days of it, I've adjusted. Okay, we're good to go, and that's just being a north guy. You're also talking about somebody who doesn't own a winter jacket. I wear sweatshirts, and if it's really cold, I'll wear 2 sweatshirts. I'm just, it's a byproduct of where I live. Yeah, you know. Okay, what do we got? What's the difference in adding and taking away cross from your left front tire? And you have to cross out of the right front to my cart. Can I move the front? This is not. I always say everything with the caveat of this is my experience. You have right front, in my opinion, makes a bigger difference in cross adjustment. So the more you move that, you're going to feel the effects more in general. I'd say center off, left front. If you're making a cross adjustment there, the further down you're pushing your left front, the entry, your camber, and your caster is going to have a greater effect on that because that tire is actually hitting the ground. So it's you know what I speak of. So when you enter the corner, you crack the wheel. It's going to push that left front down, and it's going to jump on its right rear and the right side of the cart in general. Now, if you're that lever that the cart is, you know, it does this when you dive into the corner, it loads the right front. I think when you move that right front spindle, it has a bigger difference in handling most of the way through the corner and definitely off the corner. To whereas you know, if you play with your left front, it's helping entry. Is that correct? That's always the way I've thought about it. So if if I'm at the track, I want to make a cross adjustment, I want to make a significant cross adjustment, I always move the right front. But if I want it to get into the corner a little better, I might move that left front, depending on which way you move it. But it depends on, and still have a freed up cart. That depends on, high cross, low cross, in my opinion. Everything that I know, everything I know. This year's challenged me with what, it's because of the area I'm in. We run lower cross. It's just, I don't see the need to run 67% cross up in the Northeast. Doesn't mean it won't work. No, of course it'll work. And the setup is set up, and you just run different staggers and this and that, it'll work. But we have a tendency to run lower cross. Everything I know about high cross chassis is you can look at it one way or the other. I always talk about the right rear, loading the right rear, getting off that right rear. If you're on your right rear, it makes you tighter. Adding cross gets you off the right rear. You could also think about it as planting the right front. The more cross you add, it plants the right front, loads the front, allows the front to turn better. Just the way I think about it, but, there are people up here that are, running, if they start off the day running a lot of cross, they will, even if it's, like I say, 65 to 67, they will take cross out to free the cart up. Now, everything I know about a high cross cart, that is incorrect, but it works up here. So it depends where you're at. My basic thinking is, if you're on something very high bite, very fast, high cross is the way to go. If you're on something that is suspect of grip level, hard to get a hold of, sandy, wet, stuff like that, low cross might be a good answer to you. Yeah, 64% on Champ. Okay, yep. That and everything I know about Champ carts, they like high cross. I mean, I think I'll say it's a bound up chassis, but you would assume it would be. It doesn't flex like other stuff would, but it makes me wonder, if that whole chassis doesn't flex, would a low cross setup work on it? I remember years and years ago that who was it? Somebody at Lazowski was running, I think it was an Axiom, slack Axiom, and I want to say they were on like 53% cross at the track. Give me a minute and I'll think of who it was. Sarchet? He's fast. Jawa and everything, and they had super low cross, and really I think they ended up winning the race. It was second year out at Lazowski or something like that, because I was there the first year, and that was the incident with Chris Buller and Robbie Yao, where it's just things happened and turned to, and then Robbie Yao went woo. They were out after the fact, and he had this cart body and he spun it. It was just funny. Sometimes, racing incidences happen, and the only thing you can do is, make light of it, because there's no turning back the clock and doing it again. But yeah, everything I know about the Champ carts is they run very high cross. Now up here, I have no idea if it works, if it doesn't, but I would assume with the welded on bars, they're a very bound up type of chassis. So that would make sense to plant that right front and get it to turn. I also know I believe they run a lot more right front camber. At least that's what I had heard. But I don't know. I don't know a ton about it. But I got piles of tires around me. So there's Reapers over here. I did put out that video. Reapers mounted on some brand new Vane K wheels. I think Sunday's video is going to be on rims, and I'll poke fun at myself because I'm very okay with doing that. That I took a whole bunch of crap that video. I haven't mentioned it in a while. It's like 18 million views on that one video, me surfacing that tire as bad wobble to it. Now, part of that was the machine I was working on. I've since been hooked up from Dan Murphy out of Ohio with a nice tire surfacer, not my home built one. And my home built one had a bent axle that I had cut off, and there still had a bit of to it. Plus, all my rims are, or most of my rims are, more than 5 years old and have been through some stuff. So I have a tendency to run, slightly wobbly wheels. But I think I have some real good points to make on that. Some considerations, because I got a lot of crap for it. People are like, "Oh, you better balance your wheels and this and that." And yes, it definitely, new rims is the way to go. They are true. They are straight. That is, you don't want any, inflection or deflection in your rims, because it causes the tire not to be attached. But you also have to take into consideration what tire pressure we're running, what surface you're on, what size of the track. There are determining factors of how much that actually matters. It all matters, but to what degree, one can speculate it wouldn't be as big of a deal on certain surfaces as other surfaces. That's my thought, not my only thought on it, but my thought on that. But I highly recommend new rims, because they're, not only do they look sweet, but boy, they're nice. They turn nice and straight. This is an odd thing for me to experience. A lot of my stuff's pretty beat up. Oh, I'll show you something. 1 second. I just happened to get a couple things in the mail this past week here from a sponsor of the channel. I'll show those off real quick here. Oh yeah. There's that. Now, I have never been a huge goat guy. It's probably because I'm so tight with money. I'm so, I can make stuff work that, or I've attempted to make stuff work that probably shouldn't work because of just my situation. And I never wanted to kill a set of tires. But there is something to be said of, we are there to race, we are there to win, we are there to get all the performance we possibly can out of whatever we're running. And if I am not running, arguably one of the best bike builders in the game, I'm at a disadvantage. I've been able to do my tires different ways over the years to mitigate that. But I need more experience with this. Got some. And also, my intent, big race coming up at Dreamfield Speedway in New York, October 4th. I intend to go to. I have some hurdles that I need to make it over, aka bent left front spindle and L block. But I will be running 2,000 to win Reaper race at the Dreamfield Speedway. So I'll be doing, I'm going to do some stuff, try and promote that race a little bit for Brandon. I think it's going to draw some great talent. It's going to, it should bring some, it's Northeast, so it's not going to bring out all the big names, but 2,000 win it'll be amazing to be able to make the main in that. I got 2 races coming up here, the Grand Nationals next week, and then, a couple weeks after that, going to a 2,000 win Clone Reaper race, and 2 really big challenges ahead of me. And I just, experience alone, to face some of the best in the area or the country is something I highly recommend. If you're a local racer and you want to know what's out there, you want to know how fast people can be, and what the bar is set to, I highly recommend. It'll humble you real quick to face that type of racer, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. I highly suggest it, even if you don't, like you said, if I don't make the main in either the Grand Nationals or the 2,000 win race, I get to watch a great race. I get to watch some of the best do what they do. and even observing, you can learn from that, and I highly recommend that type of stuff. But I got some of that good. I got some of the brand new Track Tack Reaper tire treatment. I know they're a little behind the game on getting to the Reaper stuff, but I think that Chris wanted to do work. He wanted to make sure that what Track Tack was offering was the best they could. And I don't fault him for, you can use all the Track Tack stuff on the Reaper tire. If you don't have the Reaper stuff, I highly recommend Ruby. Obviously, Black Sand. You can cut that stuff if you want to, but I'm gonna give the Reaper. I got my second newest set of tires is a set of Reapers that I bought this spring, so I think they'll be good for the October race. I got to get them on the, I got to do some surfacing and get them down. Yeah, 2,000 win is not. You're right, Bill. But it's big money for up here, especially. I think it's going to draw some. It's going to draw some attention, and I'm excited for Brandon to put the race on. Be a miracle, literal miracle, if I could, be in the main and challenge for that. Never been to the track. I've seen races there. Looks like a very nice facility. I know Brandon puts his heart and soul into that track, so I'm really looking forward to that one. And the thing about the Reaper up north here is that it's a hard tire on tracks that ideally would not take a hard tire. It would take a Vaga yellow punching way down low. So everybody's facing the same challenge with the harder tire on the softer surface, especially being October. It's going to be cooler, so it's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to be very happy that I have these two products for that race. Just my opinion on that, but yeah. Will a narrow wheel cause more stagger? A 9-inch, 8-inch tire, fast, tacky track. I want to ride more on the center. The tire, yeah. So this is we'll say this is an 8.5-inch rim. This is just a used Vaga yellow. This is a 8.5-inch rim. If you were to go to say an 8 1/4, that is going to stand these up. See this bow here? That is going to stand the sidewall up more, and it's going to cause the tire to grow in circumference. It is also going to affect the rollover rate of the tire. So the taller it is, the more that you're attached here. This is gripping really well. It's going to want to draw the tread this way or that way. Whatever way you're doing. So, for instance, if you if you go to a 9.5-inch rim on the right side instead of a 10, it's going to stand those sidewalls up and cause the tire to do this more. It's also going to, you can play with your stagger that way. Or if you want to spread that out, if you put this 8.5-inch rim, if you put it on a 9-inch rim, it's really going to bubble this out a bit more and make it not roll over. It's the wider this gets, the less grip it's going to have, less rollover it's going to have. The skinnier it is, the taller the tire is, the more grip in general. There's all sorts of variabilities there that go into that, but yeah. Those thanks. Yes, I'm a realist. I think my open racing chops are a lot better than my clone racing chops. That is for certain. I give it everything I got. I got a bag of excuses if I need to go to them, but I try not to. I try my best. If I miss, I miss. There are things that are going against me, but that's not an excuse. I try my best, and I don't give up. I almost gave up with the Open. I tell you what, if my two friends weren't doing the boys trip, if it was just me going to Iowa, I would have pulled the plug. As soon as I rolled that over, felt no compression, and I pulled the head off and saw what that piston looked like, I would have been done for Iowa. But Jamie and Doug gave me, this is something we'd been planning for months, and I can't thank everybody, the people who did offer me a ride or an engine or, whatever it was to get me out there. It's weird to have those offers, but I think I want, if I could do for myself, I will always do that first. I do not like to ask for help, and it's not that I don't appreciate anybody willing to help. It's that, I try and I don't like to bother people. I don't like to, I will never be a beggar. I try and, you put good out in the world, and sometimes good comes back to you, but it's just weird that, when you don't ask for stuff, you get stuff, and it's like, it's but anyway, I try real hard, and I'm definitely, the plan is, there might be a chassis change coming. I don't ever, it's been something in the works for a couple months now. We'll see if it happens. I'm not holding my breath on it, but I might be on something different come that race. I don't want to announce it until or if it happens. But the plan is, as it stands, I'll go to Nationals, do what I can do at Nationals, and then come back, and I need to rob that L block and that spindle off of the Open, and I got to put it on that cart, the clone, to get it through, because I smoked the tire at AMS in practice. I smoked it. I hit it so hard, it broke the lower bolt holding the L block on, and it bent my L block. That needs to be replaced. I see the spindle's bent. I made it through the heat race with it bent like that. I didn't know how far, I was just like, man, I don't know how far this is off. Hey, what's going on? Right before the feature, I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, that is towed out like a holy smokes. So just, I had my AccuTow with me, but it was getting near time to get on track, so I just ballparked it. I had a friend, Chris, was over, and he was suggesting he's like, I've been watching you, and, maybe, what do you think about this change, that change? I'm like, yeah, man, I throw anything at, tell me what you think you see me doing. And at some point in time, it does, I consider myself a fairly smooth racer, and maybe that's to my detriment on a clone. I'm not making the chassis work. It's possible that, because I've tried a bunch of different setups, and I don't think I'm a slouch on tires. I think maybe some of it is me. Maybe a lot of it's me. Maybe it's the way I'm attacking the corner that is just not. I'm in a clone. I'm taking for granted that I can wide open all the way around the track, because I'm so used to the horsepower that's sitting to my left here. I think that I'm not almost, maybe the smoothness would be really, really good on a high bite track, high cross, tires that are just gripped up just right. I think that might be a good thing for me, but I think on these looser tracks, I think I'm missing some kind of, like, causing the cart to be in a yaw that makes it fast. I think that I'm lacking something in my skill set that I'm not, that I'm not adjusting for, or if I've made the adjustments for, I'm not driving it correctly. It's just that, because I've changed so much. I switched chassis and everything, and I got in the same pickle with this chassis that I did this chassis, and I don't want to blame the equipment. It's a little older and stuff, and maybe some of my components are a little worn out, but I got to think that part of it's me, that I'm not doing something that it wants to do, but I'm not making it do it. That's the only thing I can, one of the things I can come up with. Got my new rival. Oh yeah, I know some people like to dog on Ultramax. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, everything I know about UAS racing, I had a rival briefly. it was untimely to have the rival because I was so used to, I had two UAS recons, and I was so used to the way those drove that when I got the rival, it just didn't lend itself to the way I wanted to drive, and I tried to drive it like a recon, and I think you had to do a little different setup and drive it a little different. But obviously, Evan C High Performance, a bunch of people, not only that team, but a bunch of people are on the Ultramax product in UAS, and I see some real good. Was it Caudil? I can't pronounce his last name. And a bunch of other people are making the Ultramaxes perform. Dan, Kickstart Danny, Dan Guild he's doing work on his rival. I think Ultramax is a great chassis. I think they think outside of the box, and I love it. I haven't spent enough time on them. I've owned a couple Ultramaxes, and Exceed, and then a rival, and I never gave them the time they needed for me to adapt to them, especially in an open. I was so comfortable on the recons that you get comfortable and you don't want to leave them. I had a Deuce. I was all right on it. I got the Scythe. The Scythe on the open was really, really good. Won, the Central New York UAS Championship on it. Won the Northeast. Was it the Northeast Divisional or was it the last? Oh no, it was the Northeast Divisional. Maybe it wasn't. No, it was the last race of the season. I won on it. Just very, very good. But Ultramax is, I don't think I ever gave him the time. But that's it. Yeah, he's super fast. I think, there's, as weird as it is, there are clubs of people that, you're only fast if you're on this, and this. And I think especially Evolve, if you look at that chassis, engineering, fantastic. I love the thinking outside of the box, making it do things, do other things than what everybody considers should be done. I think that's really good. And can you lock it down in clones and slow down? Yeah, I think that's just it. I think that, and what's killing me about the clone is that this past week or 2 weeks that I've been working tires for UAS, I got back to what I wanted to do was prep tires. Running Burris up here in the Northeast, you don't touch them during the week. At least everything I know about them and everything, the people that I know to be fast, you don't, you may surface them, but you don't internal them. I think I'm building too much bite, either mechanically or in the tire, or a bit of both. And then the way I'm driving it, I'm just not driving it's not free enough. I'm looking for the grip that maybe I'm used to striving for on the open. It just doesn't. It's not computing with me. So yeah, loose is fast. Yeah, absolutely. And got some 2019 33s that are holding 60. I can't seem to get them to come down. They were purchased, used. Not sure what prep was used. Should I go better than? So chances are, if I had to guess, GOAT was used on them. And that's the downside to GOAT right there. If they were what's called striking, if they were struck, which is using GOAT to fire off the tire, basically, that's what I should do a video on that. At least that's my perception of what that means, because it's not you're not loading the tire with multiple wipes. You're wiping it last minute to soften the outside. I've kind of done a video on that, just not about the term striking. Chances are they were probably used as a GOAT tire, or it's just age. I would say that 2019 was a bit ago, and I got some 19s around here too. I bet you they are punching pretty hard. So one of two things that cause them to be hard is age. The longer a tire is around, the oils dissipate out of the tire. They're gonna just naturally get harder if they've been in any kind of heat they've been in a trailer, that's going to exacerbate that situation. The oils are going to dissipate, the tire's going to get tougher in general, or somebody had already used goat on them at one point in time, and that thing that makes goat goat, that drops the durometer and adds bite to the tire, eventually it destroys the tire. And it does just what age will do to it. It might be a bit of both. So you can, I tell you not to run, or I tell you, my suggestion is you don't run internal on Burris, but if you are looking to save a tire, it might not be a bad idea to put something on the internal of a Burris tire, or any tire for that matter that has gone up. You need to infuse oils back into the tread in order to make it pliable again. But like I said, it might be age, because that was 6 years ago. Tire's been a tire for 6 years, and it's been run, so it's gone through heat cycles, it's gone through prepping, it's gone through age. Chances are that's what's rose the durometer, or worst case scenario, it was a goat tire, and goat has just kaputted it. I had one other person, they messaged me or emailed me or something like that, and were asking, hey, they got a whole bunch of free tires, and they all were very high durometer, I believe they're Maxxis, and they couldn't get no matter what they did to them, they couldn't get the duro to drop on them, and there's a very real chance that they were wiped with goat. And it is, once a goat tire starts going up in durometer, you're in trouble. But yep, once a goat tire, always a goat tire. Yep. There, I got a couple here that are now goat tires. They're older tires, which I'm perfectly fine. I abuse the crap out of them. And if they go south, they go south, and just yeet them. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I try, if anything, if I don't have an answer, I like to try and, maybe critically think, if you want to use that term, just talk through it. What could this be? I think a lot of people just, they say one thing and that's that. It's just like, yeah, but why? Why that thing? Why does it do that thing? Why, what are the, I like the word, use the word variables. What caused this to happen, if nothing other than to think for a later time, like, hey, I remember this happening, and this is why this happened. So, maybe don't do that, or do it again, depending on your, Creo's Creo. I have not done a video on Creo. I won't do a video on Creo. Not only the illegality of the creosote that I've been informed of, but I have zero experience with it. If anything, any prep I've ever run had Creo in it, I couldn't tell you. I know it stinks. So does goat, for that matter. I had only had goat like one time. And I used it just randomly on some tracks that I think I blended it with Better Than Goat Pea. That's one of the things that, like, a Burris 33 works really well, and the Better Than Goat Pea offsets some of the bad reaction to the tire, but it also it'll take a little bit of the the effects of the goat out of it. But I've had very little over all these years. And I was very, like when Track Tech released the Gold Grip, Goat Pea, I was excited about it because I need more experience with it. I need that in my arsenal of things to do. Yeah, gearbound, that's a thing too. Somebody at the AMS was talking about that I don't think they're turning enough RPM, and I have to do a video on gearbound, but it's a finicky topic to address. It's easy to say, well, you're gearbound. Well, yeah, but making it explainable to somebody who doesn't understand what's going on. If you keep on adding teeth and your motor does not, my basic perception of it is, if you keep on adding teeth and your motor still does not turn RPM and does not get any faster, you might be gearbound. You may go out there and you think, oh man, I'm on a 63 when normally I'm on a 61, and it just isn't any faster and it doesn't get off the corner. That, in general, is gearbound. You got to move one way or the other. my suggestion, back off the teeth. Get back down into where that engine is happy with the clutch settings. Am I ready for nationals? If I get my carburetors. They are en route. Buller did a fantastic job getting them completely redone. I mean, you should, I'm telling you, I'd said at the beginning of the stream, there's a list like that long of everything that was worn out on those carburetors. And I had a suspicion over it. I just haven't run the engine the past couple of years all that much. And every now and again, they'd get a little funky on me. And I'm like, And it gets, makes you think about the armature that goes underneath that, they're dual carb. So the armature will get some slop in it and cause the butterflies not to be in sync together. There's a measurement for that. It's just, I'm not an overly technical guy when it comes to engine stuff. So I'm more of a, if it works, works type of thing. But yeah, the carburetors are en route. I get them here, engine, piston, everything, good compression, brand new bottom, top gaskets. As far as I can tell, the bottom rod end bearing, there isn't any slop there isn't any shucking, there isn't anything, if there was any damage, I don't think there is. There doesn't seem to be any real pitting or anything on the rod. So hopefully when everything was happening up top, it processed and got itself out the pipe. I'm hoping. I really don't have an option. I do not have the funds, the know-how, or the time to do bottom end. So this for nationals, get through nationals, and then that'll be the last race on the open. I plan on having getting the bottom rod end bearing at least. Chances are probably new rod. I think it's a Hot Rods, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a standard Hot Rods crank and rod in it. So if I get the timing, it's been years since I've done timing on an open. So I would have to. I have a dial indicator. I can set it, but it's been a lot of years since I've done that. And figuring out the water pump and everything. Maybe I'll just have it. Maybe I have it sent out and have a crank put in it. But I'm sure that's $1,000. That's it. Another cart I got has a yellow Vega. Is there anything that can help keep them good, longer life besides never use goat? Yeah, Vegas you can abuse the snot out of a Vega. That's my opinion on them. That's what I've done for years on them, especially if you have a, hard to get a hold of surface that you need a low durometer. They will take, a Vega yellow will take an aggressive prep. For instance, a Burris is very susceptible to whatever prep you're running. So if you have a freshly ground Burris 33, it has this inherent thing where it takes less prep to make it do what it does. To whereas a Vega yellow, you can abuse the snot out of them. If you just want to keep them, good, I don't know that you need to wipe anything on them. You can if you want, but people have suggested, always, put them in a saran wrap. Track Tax always recommend not putting saran wrap. You can do it. I've also, my old school method was put them in a garbage bag for like the winter, and that will not allow the elements to, take the oils out type of thing. But in general, a VAG is pretty tough. Unless the durometer's too high on you, but you can get aggressive on them, in my opinion on that. We're going to have a fantastic time. Yeah, I know. It's going to be fun also that my two buddies, coming with me because they are not racer guys. They are full on board. They're supporters of what I do. Doug watches, most of my stuff, if not all my stuff. He's not a racer. Those two are not racers. But they are on board and they want to come, help and hang out and just shenanigans is correct. the Seinfeld episode where independent George, is binding with relationship George. I have that kind of thing in my head, like, just like my, friends of 35 years are going to meet my extended race family, or at least some of them. And that's just kind of funny to me. my my group of friends that I don't want to say that you guys aren't my friends, but people that truly have known me and known me for very long time. My circle's small. It's very small, and I keep it that way on purpose. It's not that I'm more than pleasant and happy to be around people, especially good people, and interact with people. That's fine. But my core group, obviously we call them the core four. If you guys watch the Scream movies, the latest ones, they talk about being the core four. That's myself, my wife, and my two kids. That's core four. But also, the Doug and Jamie, being friends for 35 years. I'm friends with a lot of people, but my core group is very small, and it's very hard to have a lot of friends. But I have my lot of friends is the racing community. It's my racing friends. It's going to be weird for those two things to kind of interact. Yeah, I think it's going to be that regardless of outcome at the races in general. I think that the Grand Nationals has always been, it's like a family reunion. Sometimes you get to meet people that you've never met before. They are new parts of your reunion. They are new parts of your family. They're people that you've never met before, and then you become friends with them. And then every year at the Grand Nationals, you get to interact with those people. I love it. Get to see old friends, and I think it's just in general. I try and surround myself with the best people as best I can. I try and I try and keep the best people around that I can. The people that are true, that the people that are on board for being good humans, and yeah. I jump on a plane Tuesday morning, and as soon as I land Lincoln, Nebraska, I'm going to be a nice. Yes. Oh, thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that. Yes, we are all here to help each other. Yes, absolutely. I put up that video of me prepping tires, and I'm not going to engage with the naysayers. This is what killed karting. I'm still racing. There's an argument to be made for, the cost of things, what it takes to stay racing. I get it. I absolutely, I get what you're saying, but I am not willing to submit. I'm not willing to submit that prep is just, we're done karting. Prep's here. Prep's been around before people were prepping. They were prepping. Before prep was sold as prep, people were soaking tires. They were doing this. This is, it just became a bigger thing. And if I were to engage with the people, it's just like, yeah, okay, it's if that's your contention that it ruined the sport, how do you fix it? And it's to ask a Brandon Clapperton, to ask a John Layfield, to ask people to start policing tires and doing tire testing. Is it possible? Absolutely, it is. Is it a pain in the butt? Yep. So it's just, it may be lazy. You could say that, I suppose. But all right, prep your tires. Let's go race. If that's the way it's going to be, instead of kicking people out for prepping and cheating and this and that, it's just, I don't think there's any exact way to fix what's possibly broken in the sport. But I'm not willing to give up. I think that's dumb. I think it's an easy out just to say something like that. I enjoy the tire prepping. I find it's another element to speed. It's another element to making a simplistic design a little more complicated. And I totally understand the reasons why people don't like it. And I totally understand the treads and why there seems to be a buildup of tread classes. with no prep. Fantastic. I don't disagree. But as it stands, until something changes, is an entire community, racing community in kart racing, until everybody stands up and says no more prep, and then nothing's going to change. And even then, if you say no more prep, there's going to be people with prep. So how do you police that? And then how does it make it? How is it viable to a small track? Because without the Saturday night tracks, the Friday night tracks, the homegrown racing, if you only have state stuff, if you only have big races and money races, that may kill it. That may price everybody that wants to race out of it. You need to maintain the local stuff to keep that influx of kids coming up, to feed into the bigger races, or else we don't have anything. And I don't know that. I don't know that killing prep is gonna do that. It might. There's a lot of different angles to think about it, and I don't disagree with any of them. It's just it's easy to say no prep. It's harder to enforce. It's harder to is that what's gonna save karting from dying? I don't know that karting is dying. It's expensive. Racing's expensive. The life is expensive. Things. So, no. Yeah. Yep. And then there will be, Tyler's right. That if you say no prep, then people are just who have the means to do so are just going to have more tires. And then you're going to have to put tire limits on people. And then, just buy your tires at track. Well, you're not going to do that at a Saturday night track. So there's so many different avenues that until maybe out of all of this, maybe something comes along to where an entire series, money series, whatever it is, it's something comes along, and we have the money to do so. We have the money to test. If you're caught cheating, you're booted. But I don't know that that's going to save anything. I don't think that it's really going to. It's a very intricate, complicated issue that it's just easier for your Saturday night racer to be able to prep, and not have to worry about policing that from an owner or promoter standpoint. It's, Yep, I agree. Yep. Saturday Night Lights is I love it. And my old man hates racing in the dark. When he moved to Florida, he was just like, "Oh, day racing's where it's at." I don't disagree with that, but it's something about racing in the lights, the dark, when the moisture comes back up in the track, especially up north here, when we get some, not finally, but we get some grip when it's not super dry and dusty. That is the time to be. Yes. Easier is nice, yeah. But all right, we are over an hour. Big surprise. It's amazing I can talk for an hour straight. Not really. My wife gets sick of me. I tell you guys one time, she just looked at me one day. We spent like the entire day together, and I said something. I always say something ridiculous to her, and she's like, "Can you stop talking? I think you've used up all your words today." I'm like, "Oh, that's a deep burn. Holy smokes." Yep. Yes, moist. She also hates that word, moist. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for coming by. I don't know that this will happen next week. I will be on the road. Maybe if I have good signal, maybe if I can get Doug and Jamie to shut up. They don't, I talk more than both of them put together. But if we're still driving to Iowa, maybe if I have good enough signal, I'll feel it out. Maybe do a road trip. It'll be dark, but if I could always have Doug read me what you guys say. Possibly, I don't want to put it, I don't want to say no stream next week. There's a possibility there might not be a stream next week. So I will be on the road, but that might be fun. Do some road trip talking while we're going about it. So all right, thank you very much. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, thank you all for stopping by today. Go watch. Oh, pardon me, goodness. Ultimate Kart Media is on right now on Facebook. If you guys enjoy some Southern style racing talk and all the topics those guys do, I think they do a wonderful job. I'm here for supporting everybody. So if you're into that type of thing, Ultimate Kart Media on the Facebooks, go visit them. They should be 40 minutes into the stream by now. All right, guys, I'll catch you.